166, tape 5, 1866, air 6166. Tape 5, 1866, air 616.
Afford to bungle this thing. Since the law's on Stan Manning's side, we must also operate within the law.
But Hank...
But crashing that apartment would defeat us, turn our whole effort into a disaster.
But then how do we get Mrs. Manning out of there?
Well, we don't kidnap her. Well, Stan would have the law on us in 15 minutes. Now, if we could just get Eric to help us.
Eric?
Yeah, you see, if the son lets us in, he has the legal right to enter. Do you see?
It's a great idea, Hank. Now, where do we find that kid?
2 places. My apartment with Jan or his apartment with Jan.
All right, hop to it.
Mr. Stover, Eric is irresponsible. We can't depend on him.
But there's nothing else we can do.
What Katie means, Hank, is he's his father's son. He'll go over to Stan's side.
All right, then we've got to sell him on helping us rescue his mother. Now get to him. We're running out of time.
No matter how dark the night, there is always a new dawn to come. The sun is but a morning star. Morning Star, a dramatic serial for those who face today and look forward to tomorrow's promise.
It's too bad we can't use Kate's sister.
What for, Hank?
To persuade Eric.
Well, maybe Katie will find them both at her apartment. You know, she can be pretty persuasive when she wants to be.
Yeah, but she doesn't have much faith in that boy.
Eric? No, I'm afraid not. You know, she thinks he's irresponsible, and as far as Jan is concerned, I guess she's right. You know, they spent the whole night out together.
Yeah, I heard about that. Well, do you think that we can persuade Eric to help us get Dana out of that apartment?
We've got to, Hank.
Yeah, either that or break the law.
Well, I'm for doing that, too, if it's necessary.
Well, let's hold our horses and see what luck we have with Eric. You know, Bill, that judge could be signing the guardianship papers right this minute. In my wildest dreams, I could have never thought this one up, that's for sure. Now, here's a man who drives his wife to the breaking point and then drugs her till she's almost like a zombie.
You're forgetting he had a handmaiden, Hank.
Oh, you mean that housekeeper, Allison?
Yeah. For all we know, she could have dreamed up this whole scheme.
No, I don't believe that. No, this whole rotten business has Stan's mark on it.
Yeah. Well, maybe you're right. But I do know this much. Allison has cut herself in. Oh, she's got a long, glorious past history as a helpmeet to husbands who are tired of their wives. I imagine when she saw Stan, she thought this was her chance to do graduate work in that department.
Well, we'll soon know, I hope.
Hank, to simplify things, I think we should stick to their drugging of Dana with Eric. I mean, tell him how Dana is now, not bother about how she got to be that way.
Oh, you mean if he has trouble sorting out his loyalties between his mother and his father?
That's right. Now, we're going to have to tell him about Stan, of course. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any reason to want to get Dana out of that apartment.
No, but we can't give him too much time to think about it either.
Right. First, he rescues his mother and let him worry about the rest later.
Well, we'll try it, see if it works. Bill, I wish Katie'd call. You know, we're running short of time.
I know, Hank.
If that judge signs those guardianship papers, that's it. You know, Stan can ship Dana off any place he wants to.
An institution, you mean?
Why not? Or he could leave her up there in that bedroom and just forget about all that tender, loving care.
Hank, do you think he's going to start robbing the till right away?
I know he will.
But doesn't that take time, Hank? I mean, to get the power of attorney, that sort of thing? I mean, before he can start just helping himself to Dana's money?
Bill, once the judge names Stan his wife's legal guardian, that's it. It'll give him access to all her safe deposit boxes, everything she owns. Anything that he wants, he can just grab. Nobody can stop him.
We could.
How? Look, the only thing that we can do is protect Dana herself. Miss Stover speaking.
This is Kate, Mr. Stover.
Kate, what's the news on Eric?
Well, not good so far.
Oh, you mean he isn't at your apartment?
No, but maybe Jan knows where he is. I thought I'd go by school and ask her, then maybe go down to Eric's place.
No, I think Bill ought to do that. Just a minute, Kate. You know where Eric lives?
Well, sure, down in the village on McDougal. Well, Katie and we were there the other night.
Good. Listen, Kate, you see what you can learn from your sister, and in the meanwhile, while you're doing that, well, Bill will hot-foot it down to the village.
All right, sir.
All right, now, come back here just as soon as you get finished and make it fast, will you?
Yes, sir, I will.
Good. All right, Bill, you get right down to Eric's now, huh?
Right, sure thing, Hank.
Oh, Bill, if Eric is there, bring him back here, will you?
Well, what if he doesn't want to come back here, Hank? Shall I persuade him?
Well, no rough stuff, but, well, if you have to push him a little...
Never you fear. I'll lean on them. A little leaning on is good for the young. Anyway, that's what my old grandpappy always used to say. I'll see you.
Barbara, call my place in Tarrytown, will you? Tell them to expect a guest, a very ill guest. Do you understand? Tell them I want a nurse in there today. I'll arrange for a doctor later. All we have to do is get Dane out of there if we can.
Bill Riley?
That's right. Can I come in?
Sure.
Thanks.
Must have been asleep.
Maybe must be a pretty sound sleeper.
And it's the late hours I keep. Sit down.
Thanks.
I get you something? The choice is limited.
No, nothing, thanks, Aaron.
I suppose it's about Jan. Did her sister send you down here to lecture me?
No. I'm here about your mother.
What's wrong? What happened?
No, take it easy, Eric. As far as I know, your mother's condition hasn't changed.
Oh, that's good.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. But let me go back a ways. Anyway, I don't know how to start this. Anyway, maybe you know more about it than I do.
Just what are you trying to tell me, Bill?
Well, just this in a nutshell, Eric. Your mother's condition is never going to improve unless you get her out of that apartment.
Out of that... Have you seen her lately?
Yes, I have seen her. That is why I am here telling you, you have to get her out of there.
On a trip in the condition she's in?
No, not a trip.
Oh. Oh, I see. You must have been talking to my father.
No, we're talking at cross purposes, Eric.
What are you talking about?
Rescuing your mother.
Rescuing?
Look, if your mother was drowning and she was calling out for help, you would go and help her now, wouldn't you?
Of course I would.
Well, she's drowning, Eric. You take my word for it. And she's calling for help.
Look, I don't know what you're getting at, but if this is some sort of trick to get me to go against my father, forget it.
Oh, you mean then it wouldn't bother you that right now your father is in court getting an order that says your mother is a mental incompetent?
So what if he is? What business is that of yours?
I'm making it my business, Eric, and so is Hank Stover because we're friends of your mother. Well, look, Eric, I don't want you to take my word for anything. I just want you to go and talk to Hank Stover.
About what?
About your mother's future. You see, we don't think she has any unless we get her out of that apartment. Today. Now.
Your Honor, you asked me to draw up an estimate of Mrs. Manning's worth.
You have it there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Referring to a petition to declare Mrs. Dana Manning temporarily incompetent, so forth and so forth. Astonishing the amount of verbiage our profession requires, isn't it? Very tidy sum, Mr. Davis. Are you aware, Mr. Manning, of the approximate value of your wife's estate?
Yes, Your Honor. Much of Mrs. Manning's holdings, as you can see, Your Honor, are in the form of negotiable bonds and the like. Now, these and insurance policies and things like that are kept in 2 safety deposit boxes.
You're concerned about access, are you?
Yes, Your Honor. At the present time, Mrs. Manning is the only one who has authority to open those safe deposit boxes.
Well, my order and the power of attorney that you drew up will allow Mr. Manning to get into those boxes if and when he chooses. Now, let's see. The petition, yes. Now, what we want is the court order appointing Mr. Manning as wife's guardian. Yes, here it is. You understand, Mr. Manning, that this is a temporary order only?
Oh, yes, Your Honor.
We'll review it again in 3 months' time. That is, if Mr. Davis has no objections?
No, Your Honor, none.
Good, then we'll proceed. This court now sees fit to appoint Mr. Stanley Manning guardian of his wife's welfare and estate. And we hope he handles both with wisdom and discretion.
I don't believe you, Riley. I don't believe one word of this fantastic story.
Well, you better start believing me, Eric. Start believing me, and fast.
My father, a thief, a cheat, practically a murderer? You know, he could sue you for slander for the things you're saying about him.
And will Allison sue me, too? For slander, huh? What about that housekeeper now, Eric? How did you explain her, huh?
I don't have to explain anything.
Oh, no. Not now you don't, Sonny, but there'll come a day when you're going to have to. Oh, you're going to talk, and you're going to talk your head off to see if you can weasel your way out of this. Well, you might as well just start practicing right now. Just take a look in there and ask yourself why you won't even listen, or so much as lift a finger to help your own mother.
Wait. You can prove this about Allison?
I can prove it, Eric. Oh, come on, Eric. Think and think hard, because this is your last chance to.
All right, I'll go with you to Mr. Stover's office, but only to listen. Is that clear?
That's all we want you to do, Eric. Just listen. And then, the rest will be up to you.
You never liked my father. Have you, Mr. Stover? Just my mother.
Now, wait a minute, Eric.
Mr. Stover, Eric, I know how hurt and confused you must be, but please listen to us. Please don't fight us.
Well, wouldn't you fight if they were making accusations against your father like they're making against mine?
Will you wait a minute? Well, let's go at this from another angle. All right? Let me go over that Allison thing with you again, because that is not an accusation, Eric. That is not a supposition. That is a proven fact.
That's right. Bill can prove everything he says about her.
Well, all right, go ahead.
All right. Now, Allison was in league with a man named Taggart in a frame-up to disgrace Taggart's wife.
And he divorced her. You've already told me that.
Yeah, I told you that, but it wasn't just perjury in that courtroom, Eric. It was conspiracy, and that is a serious crime.
All right, so she's a conniving, immoral woman. What does that have to do with my mother?
What you might better ask is what it has to do with your father.
Now, listen, Riley, I've had enough of your smears
Now,
about
listen,
my
Eric.
father.
Eric, Mrs. Allison also wrote her own references. Bill had the employment agency check back with Mr. Taggart. He denied writing them.
You mean the references that she used to get a job with my mother and father?
That is right.
Now, wait a minute. Now, the way that I figured it, Taggart promised to marry Allison. Then when it was all over with, and divorce granted.
He kicked her out, and she couldn't open her mouth, not with a conspiracy charge hanging over her head.
That's right.
Eric, when did you last see your mother?
Why, yesterday.
Did you talk with her?
I tried.
Well, I've tried too, a number of times. And one time, not too long ago, when I was with your mother, your father gave her a capsule. Her medication, he called it. Well, it wasn't only but a minute or two after she took that capsule that your mother began to get woozy and absent-minded. So your father took her upstairs and...
And then when Kate was alone, she got a chance to look at that bottle that your father took those capsules out of.
And get this. The label read, 1 before bedtime, maximum dosage 2.
That's a sleeping pill, isn't it?
Oh.
I managed to get a hold of one of those capsules, and I gave it to a friend of mine, an intern. He had it analyzed. Here's the report. The analysis says a double dosage.
Which means that someone has gone to the trouble of putting 2 doses of that sleeping prescription into 1 capsule.
We're only saying what we know for sure.
Your mother was drugged, Eric. Day and night, helplessly, heavily drugged. Do you understand?
She just sat there like a... The other day, I went to see my mother. I tried to talk with her, but she couldn't even hear me. She just sat there.
Like a drugged person.
She was, Eric. Knocked out with a double dose of a heavy sleeping powder.
Well, of course, drugged. Why?
To induce what appeared to be a condition of mental incompetency, Eric.
Oh, but that's insane. Who'd want to do a thing like that?
Ken Davis believed it enough to get a petition for the court hearing right now, Eric.
Yeah, and it's probably over already.
Well, that means Stanley Manning is now the legal guardian of his wife.
Don't you see, Eric? That means your father will handle all your mother's business affairs.
Oh, what I want to know is what's Allison's cut going to be?
You're all crazy, you know that? You're all crazy. I know my own father. Do you hear me? I know him. Sure, he's a chaser. He's a gambler. I'm not saying he's a plaster saint. For all I know, maybe he and Allison are...
Wait a minute, Eric. Let me explain. Now, even if that hearing isn't already over with, well, we can't interfere. But we probably wouldn't be able to stop it anyway. And even if we would, why, it probably means some very damaging publicity. Don't you understand that?
Drugged. Drugged.
Eric, try to put everything else aside. Just remember that your mother's ill and don't think about anything else.
As her son, you have a legal right to enter that apartment and take her out. Do you understand that?
We don't, Eric, but you do. Do you get it?
Please help us.
But that's crazy.
We're running out of time, Eric. Don't you understand? We have no more time.
You want me to go in there and what? Kidnap my mother? She's not even conscious. She can't even think.
But Eric will think for her until she's able to do her own thinking.
Where will you take her?
Well, I have a house up on the river, up on the Hudson. Oh, by the way, you better get up to Tarrytown. They expect you up there. Now, I was raised in Tarrytown, and this house that I spoke about is big and enormous. And look, I'll have a nurse there to help your mother.
Does my father know where it is?
No, he doesn't know anything about it.
Are you with us, Eric?
No, I've got to speak to my father.
I'm afraid that's impossible.
Well, then I'm not with you.
But Eric, you must. Can't you see you must? We're your mother's friends. You know that. Would we do anything to harm her? Eric, please trust us, won't you? For your own sake. Please trust us.
So, that's all? It's really over?
That's right.
But I thought I'd get a paper or something, a court order.
I have that.
Ken, I'm not trying to rush matters, but you know how things have been let go ever since Dana...
What's bothering you, Stan?
Well, for one thing, I have to get Dana's health insurance policy out of her safe deposit box.
No problem. You heard what His Honor said. You'll have access to both of Dana's safety boxes.
Yes, but when?
This afternoon, if you like. Drop by my office on the way home. I'll have everything there for you. I'll even call the bank if you like and explain to them.
Would you do that, Ken? I'll feel a bit strange the first time.
I'll pave the way for you, Stan. Banks are used to this sort of thing, you know. Where money is concerned, all you need are the correct documents.
The correct documents. It's really very simple, isn't it? That is, when you know how to go.
It's up to you, Eric. There's nothing more we can do or say.
Just remember what I said before, Eric. Think and think hard, because this is your last chance to. It is up to you.
This house in Tarrytown.
It has a view of the river. And there's trees all around. And it's so quiet up there, Eric, that you can hear the birds singing half a mile away.
And there'll be a nurse there for my mother?
Yes. And I'll get a doctor right away.
You've got it all figured out, haven't you?
As much as I can.
The rest is up to me. My father, my conscience. I have to figure that out for myself.
I'm afraid so, Eric.
Eric, shall we let you... Would you like to think for just a moment?
Katy, there isn't time.
Well, take time, Eric. It's your conscience. You have to live with it.
It's easy to say no, isn't it? But if I do, and my mother's... All right.
Are you with us?
I'm with you.
Oh, glad you amaze me. Come on, let's go. Let's get Dana out of that place right now.